As you know, being a 3D artist means juggling many things at the same time to get results. But you don't have to do everything because you can be strategic about it. So in this video, I want to give you 9 things which you can do to be more efficient as a 3D artist. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. In the 3D field, specialization is often what makes you more valuable as an artist in a professional environment. I mean, a good approach to be seen more valuable, especially if you want to do that quickly in the marketplace. Whether it be in a studio or doing freelance work, is to specialize early on in something. You see, large productions are divided into departments like modeling, rigging, animation, look development, lighting, effects, compositing, and so on. And each one of those departments usually requires artists who go very deep in their craft. A strong character modeler, for example, might spend years refining their understanding of anatomy, topology, sculpting workflows, and so on. And this level of focus allows them to produce work that stands out and makes more reliable contributions, especially in complex productions, because you can't believe how competitive such a niche is. So you can only imagine how hard it is to compete with these guys. If you are a generalist trying to land a job in a studio or doing some freelance gigs for clients big or small. Some artists who specialize early on can achieve great results in relatively a short period of time. I mean, in 1 or 2 years, you can get work in that chosen specialty, like character art, animation, environment art, you name it. So I would say this is a quick way to see what works really fast, because you're not dealing with everything at once. Also, as you may know, the modern 3D landscape is filled with many software which you can choose from. 3D artists today have access to tools like Blender, Maya, Houdini, ZBrush, Substance, Unreal, you name it, and countless plugins and specialized software. And because of this abundance, many beginners feel pressured to learn everything all at once. They learn Blender, Unreal Engine, Houdini, and so on, but in reality, you can still use these software, but each one for its intended purpose. So if your workflow leans too much on proceduralism and effects, you can invest heavily in Houdini, while a hard surface modeler might focus on Blender. And as an animator, your best option is probably Maya. On the other hand, taken to the extreme will also backfire sometimes. I mean, you don't have to use only one software to do everything. Sometimes it is better to use Substance Painter for texturing, ZBrush for sculpting, while still using Blender, just to make sure you are not wasting your time learning every part of every software. That is, if you want to be strategic about your time. Also, perfectionism is one of the biggest traps that can derail your progress. You see, when working on professional projects, it is easy to spend endless hours refining tiny details and polishing every surface, but if you work professionally, you are working under completely different constraints. Deadlines, budgets, and schedules dictate how much time can be spent on each task. Experienced artists lean to balance quality with efficiency. The reality is, they constantly evaluate how much a particular detail will contribute to the final result, because you need to know when enough is enough, since no project is completely finished, and sometimes it doesn't even matter. I mean, if something appears only briefly on screen, or sits far in the background, it may not justify hours of additional work, so good enough is often the correct goal, which means knowing when to move forward instead of endlessly refining the detail. And this is where certain skills become important in real work. Also, you sometimes see artists collecting lots of images, blueprints, or inspirations for some characters, assets, or environments, but that's not a waste of time. Because working without references is another common mistake that slows down many artists. For example, modeling from imagination alone can quickly lead to incorrect proportions, unrealistic materials, and subtle inaccuracies that make an asset feel wrong, and fixing those problems later often requires significant rework, which wastes time and effort. Professional artists solve this problem before even starting by gathering strong references, especially at the beginning of the process. So they collect photos, blueprints, concept art, and real-world measurements that guide their decisions throughout the project. So as you can see, good references help clarify shapes, materials, and small structural details. And instead of constantly guessing and correcting, you can build your models with references from the start. And to be honest, in many cases a few minutes spent collecting references can save hours of revision later. The next one is important too, because here's the thing, even professionals can fall victim to this too. As you know, the 3D industry evolves very quickly, and workflows that were standard 10 years ago may look completely different now. So major shifts often occur when new technologies appear, or when studios adopt more efficient ways to do things. For example, GPU rendering has dramatically accelerated look development, in addition to lighting workflows in many studios, and other changes are taking place too. For example, real-time engines like Unreal Engine are becoming part of the film and television production, and USD is transforming how assets are shared across departments. Even AI-assisted tools are starting to automate certain repetitive tasks, like animation, UV mapping, packing, and so on. So I would say understanding where the industry is heading helps you make smarter decisions about what skills to develop next, before it is too late, because any change can take you a few months to adapt to. Also, as you know, many personal projects are relatively small, which means artists can organize scenes however they want, without worrying too much about future changes. But in professional productions, changes are constant. Creative decisions change all the time, and clients request variations, and entire environments may evolve during development. So if you are a smart artist, you should anticipate these changes and build scenes that can adapt easily. I mean by that, instead of creating rigid setups, you should rely on flexible workflows such as instancing, procedural tools, and non-destructive modifiers. Organized hierarchies and clear naming conventions also make scenes easier to manage when projects grow larger, and this helps you stay in control. One point I want to mention is also learning problem solving. You see, software knowledge is useful, but tools evolve quickly. Every few years, new programs appear, like Cascador for animation, new texturing tools like Instamat, and so on. Also, workflows change, and features that once seemed essential may disappear or be replaced, like manual retopology, UV mapping, packing, and even some modeling and animation tasks are automated to a certain extent with these new AI tools. Problem-solving skills, on the other hand, remain valuable regardless of the software changes. So when you understand the underlying principles of modeling, shading, lighting, or simulation, you can adapt those skills to almost any tool. The reality is, instead of memorizing a certain tool or feature, you can focus on understanding the problem they are trying to solve, and this, most importantly, I would say, helps you jump ship if you want to switch to a different 3D software. Also, technical limitations play a major role in decision making. I mean by that, extreme dense geometry, oversized textures, and complex scenes can quickly slow down both interactive scenes and final rendering, so you need to keep that in mind. What works fine on personal projects may cause major issues in a studio environment or an indie project where scene contains hundreds of assets, so you should constantly balance visual quality with performance, and you need to think carefully about where the detail is truly needed and where it can be simplified. For example, in modeling, you should focus on using details like normal maps, decals, optimized topology, and carefully choose texture resolutions, which allows you as an artist to achieve really good visual results without overwhelming your machine. Also, generally speaking, a career in 3D is not about technical skills. It is also about long-term strategy, especially in these uncertain and changing times. So you are essentially managing a set of valuable resources: your time, your skill, and your professional reputation. Every project you take on contributes to building a portfolio and potentially a network of professional relationships, with your friends or peers in the industry. That is, if you want to get hired or work at a certain place. So you need to think carefully about how you invest your time, and you must choose projects that strengthen your portfolio, build connections with peers so you can get recommended or seen by certain studios that need exactly what you're offering, and this will help you develop skills that can remain relevant over time. And there you have it, guys. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.